Hello and welcome to Engine Adventures review of this 2023 Chevy Colorado Trail Boss. So for 2023, Chevy's putting this Trail Boss trim on the Colorado, and it actually, let's go to the front. It widens the track by 3 inches. So you can see the bulges on the fender flares. It pushes it out a little bit, and it still does have the massive air dam for better fuel mileage and whatever, but it does come standard with a lot of features. Tow hooks, there's skid plates all underneath. We'll get that shot later. Goodyear Wrangler Territory tires. These are just ATs. You can opt for MTs from Goodyear if you want. These are 32-inch tires, 265, 65 R18s, and yeah, overall diameter is right around the 32-inch mark. The mud terrain ones are the same diameter. It does get a 2-inch lift, just like the Silverado Trail Boss, and you know, shocks and whatever that are tuned for it. I don't see a name brand on these shocks, but upgraded shocks for, you know, more off-road oriented position there. I do love the new bed system that they're doing. So they did this in the Silverados before, where they pushed the bed walls out. So the bed wall used to end here. Now you get an extra 1.5 to 2 inches out of it on each side. So it adds quite a bit of cargo space to it. Again, this starts as a work truck. So if we look inside, you can see it's pretty basic in here. And you can option it up if you want, but I do like that Chevy is offering this as a work truck trim. A lot of times now you buy an off-roader and you have to buy leather seats, heated and cooled seats. You have to have the $8,000 sound system and all that stuff. But this one, it just lets you start with a base truck and work your way up from there. I do like the new design cues across the board on the Colorado. I feel like Chevy's done a really good job with it. And this one, they even, we'll show you on the inside, but because it's a work truck model, you'd expect to see a lot of blank switches, but they have different layouts, different components, so that you don't just have a bunch of empty switches there. It's filled in with you know, a solid piece that actually looks really nice. All right, here is that 2.7 liter 4-cylinder turbo, and you can't really see the turbo very well. It's underneath the heat shield there, but it's massive. That thing's a monster turbo, and I'm surprised they get it to spool up as quick as they do. So around 23 to 2500 RPM is when it really starts to spool up, and you feel it. It's kind of a weird turbo lag. It doesn't feel like it's lagging, but then when the turbo kicks in, you realize that it was lagging before, and it really, like, sometimes you'll keep the throttle in the same position and all of a sudden it'll accelerate hard and maybe even spin the tires when you're out on a rainy day or whatever. So it's a little, does have the turbo lag, takes a little bit to get used to, but man, that thing, Chevy has done a really good job of tuning this engine and transmission, which Chevy typically does a good job on their powertrains. But as far as turbos go, the drivability of this one is really quite nice. So if you don't get to see the end of the video, you can see that wall of water coming in. We're going to try and get everything finished before that hits us, but if that ends up hitting us, I'm not sure I'm going to want to be out walking around in the mud filming. All right, so they got this one out to me pretty early. You can see it has 1,300 miles on it, and I put a couple hundred, well, about 100 on it. So came out here with 1,200 miles, and 600 of that is driving it from Denver. So this thing's pretty much brand new. And if you've seen the other videos, I don't know what order they'll post, but this new Colorado, on all trim levels, there's no headlight switch, no physical switch for it. And I actually turned off the truck, opened the door to get out, and all the screens went off, and you can't go and turn off the headlights. Well, oh, there it goes. Anyway, you can't switch it back to auto when the screens go off. So I was sitting there beeping at me, telling me the headlights were on, but the only way for me to get this menu back up was to go back into here, turn the truck back on to go into here, and yeah, get to the headlights. But at least I didn't know this was here till right now. The whole rest of the time I was driving it, you had to go down to these other menus, this one here, and then lights. and then you can select them here. And it also, this one does have the cargo light in the bed, but that's how you turn that on. I don't think there's another way. No fog lights on this truck. And then, yeah, anyway, your other settings are in there. I don't know, I don't like that yet. Maybe it's something I'll get used to, but it's not my favorite thing. You can also see on here, they give you a tranny temp gauge. No oil pressure, but you get the coolant and oil temperature. It would be nice, especially because this one has the tow package. It comes with the trailer brake controller and the trailering system here. Be sure to watch the towing video. There's a little more information on that. But when you're towing, you want to have as much information as you can, so oil pressure would be nice to know. And these gauges, as far as I know, are not dummy gauges. So this one here for sure, the trans temp, you can see it move up and down just a little bit as you're driving. When I was towing, it moved up a little bit more, but it kept track of the temperature the whole time. A lot of the new gauges will show that it's good, and then as it gets hot, it just immediately jumps up to the hot. It doesn't slowly build up. It's a cheaper sensor and an easier way to do it. Maybe it's more reliable, I don't know, but that's what a lot of manufacturers do. And they're kind of a dummy gauge until you're in a dire situation and you have to pull over. It doesn't give you a good idea of what's going on. But these ones are actual, like, real gauges that keep track of the temperature consistently. And it is, so the steering wheel controls are a little weird on this. Like, for example, to reset the trip meters, you don't do it from the steering wheel at all. There's no button here. You have to go into the vehicle settings, which I don't even remember how to do. But anyway, everything's kind of done through this screen now, which I really don't like. Vehicle info, maybe? Oh, this is different. This one's kind of cool too. It's brake pad life, tire pressures. It tells you what your fuel, or your filter's life, engine oil filter and air filter. I think you can actually, oh, there you go, coolant temperature. I think you can get to, there's your oil pressure. I think you can, now I lost my train of thought. Oh well, that's cool though. I didn't know the oil pressure was in here. So there's the trip meters. So you can go into here, I think you touch that, and then you can reset the trip meter from here. So it's not intuitive to get to all this information, unless, I mean, if it's your truck and it's all you drive, you'll probably get used to it. But for me, it's just, I prefer physical buttons to screens, and so it's a big learning curve for me. Standard on this also is the auto stop start, which normally I don't like. I haven't even noticed it on this one. So I don't know if it's working, or if it has actually shut the truck off. I don't think so. But anyway, that's standard. And then it also has the lane keep, lane keep assist there. It does have adaptive cruise control. See if I can get it to come on. Yeah, I probably have to be driving to get it to come on, but it does have the distance to the car in front of you. And this thing is super aggressive, so it's not, you can't see it there, but it kind of has a head-up display where it'll light up these lights here and they reflect off the windshield. And anytime you're like even remotely close to a car, it pops that up. I even had it kick on the automatic braking system on me once. It just seems a little bit overly aggressive. The car was going the same speed as me and pulled in front of me, and the truck kind of freaked out and went full brake for like a half a second. It kind of just caught me off guard and threw me into the steering wheel a little bit. But overall, the system just seems a little more aggressive than it should be. Anyway, back to this screen. So you can't adjust anything on here. You can just cycle through the screens. And there is good information there. So the off-road pages, just the speedometer, you can have the tachometer and all your gauges up on the sides. Like, it does have a decent amount of information, but it's not easily modifiable. You have to go through the other screen, and it's best done when you're parked somewhere and have time to look through it. Which maybe that's just what they're going for, is extra safety features. They don't want you staring at your screen trying to adjust things while you're driving. When you should be focusing on the road. The four-wheel drive control switch is here. Auto, 2 high, 4 low, and those are push buttons. So to shift them, you push down on it, and it shows up here. I don't know why it just put the parking brake on. When I shifted the transfer case, I put the parking brake on, which is here, an electronic one. And then your drive modes are here if you rotate it. So you have off-road, tow haul, terrain, and normal. And then if you want more information, you can hit that. So let me go to the terrain mode, and it tells you for tackling, oh, you have to be in 4 high for terrain mode. Let's see if it'll shift without moving. There we go. So go back to terrain mode. Tackling steep hills, crawling over extreme obstacles, automatically applies the brakes for enhanced climbing control. So this one's kind of one-footed driving. And as far as I know, this transfer case actually has the clutch. It's the clutch based system, so even when you're in 4 high 4 low, it's running through clutches. They just have a ton of pressure applied to them. So if you're doing 2-footed driving where you're applying brake pressure and a lot of throttle, it can cause those clutches to slip and overheat the transfer case. It's happened. It actually, I don't know if it happened to me on any Chevys. It happened to other people in the Colorado or the Silverado ZR2. It's happened to me on a Ram and Ford Expedition with these clutch-based transfer cases. This one, so just be aware of that. You don't want to overload it if you're if you're doing difficult terrain. Try and ease onto the transmission and throttle as gently as you can. Don't build up brake pressure, which it's a really good driving technique to hold the brake and adjust, you know, hold the gas pedal one spot, adjust the brake as you're climbing boulders or whatever. But in these types of transfer cases, it really does cause them to overheat. Anyway, back to regular overview of this. There really aren't a lot of features here. There's no sunroof or anything. This one does have some additional options on the back. So the back window, it does open, and it has the defroster. Those, I think, were both options on this, and we'll look at the Monroney in a minute. But overall, the seat position, everything, it's pretty good. So if you remember the Chevys of old, the steering wheel is actually offset a little bit from the driver's seat, which was quite annoying. It's actually, I think, to that side. So when you go to put your arm on the steering wheel, rest your arm on the door seal, it is further away on the older Chevys. For some reason, it's just not centered. This one, all the ergonomics seem really good. There's no adjustable lumbar on it, but it does have power recline and to move it forward and back. So it's just a 4-way. I guess there's 6-way because you can raise and lower the seat as well. Let's go ahead and take a look in the back seat. So far we have a light rain, but hopefully we don't get hit by the big wall. So back here, this one does bother me the way Chevy does this. So I can't lift this up, which maybe that's a safety feature. You go over a big bump, it's not going to lift up on its own, but you have to kind of use 2 hands. So flip the lever up and lift it at the same time. And it does lock into place, which is nice. So when you're driving and it's not going to fall down, you do have a little bit of storage here. Same thing on the other side. There is a bit of a divider there, but there's more storage area over there. And then of course your tire changing tools there. Being the work truck trim, you don't get center armrest or anything there, but yeah, I imagine that's an option if you wanted a higher level Trail Boss that you could get. And then of course the sliding rear window. All right, let's go over the Monroney real quick. This one, I don't have a paper copy, so hopefully you don't get too much glare off of my phone, but 2023 Colorado 4-wheel drive Trail Boss Crew Cab. The color is Glacier Blue Metallic. I really like the color of this, and interior jet black with cloth seats. Of course, the engine, 2.7 liter turbo. Transmission, I don't think I mentioned, but it's an 8-speed, and I do prefer the 8-speed. Ford Ranger's got the 10-speed, and it's just not my favorite transmission. It shifts a lot, and especially if you need to downshift it past somebody or whatever, it takes it a second to decide if it needs to be in 4th, 5th, 6th, 3rd gear, whatever. It takes a long time to shift from 10 down to whatever gear it needs to be in to pass somebody. This 8-speed seems to do much better with that. Base vehicle price is $37,000, and that comes with everything I showed you on the exterior. There's not really any additions on this one. It does have the advanced trailering package, $620, and Trail Boss convenience package, which is easy lift and lower tailgate. Has additional storage stuff back there, power lumbar driver's seat, just a few little things for $545. Bed liner, $475. The paint, the blue paint, is $395. And then it also has the convenience package, Trail Boss convenience package, with the rear sliding window, rear defroster, and cruise control. Another thing that it's tied in with the trailering package is this generator. The 220 amp generator, that's just an alternator, whatever. But with the trailering package, because of the additional electronics, and I didn't see a camera plug back there, but anyway, all the other additional trailering electronics, they upgrade your alternator. And 220 amps used to be quite a lot. That still is that's a good size alternator, but it's used to just power the extra trailer components there as part of that trailering package. And then of course, front license plate mount, $40, and the rear axle ratio, 342, that's just standard. Total options on this thing, $2,600, brings the total vehicle with the $1,500 destination to $41,095, which is not bad. So I think Chevy has done really well with this. There are a lot of the other mid-sized trucks that, you know, a Frontier, which is probably my favorite driving. The naturally aspirated V6 is the smoothest and easiest to control. But anyway, it ends up costing nearly this or more, and typically with less features. So I feel like Chevy's done a really good job in their price point, and we're not even going to talk about the Toyotas because they're way above this, but Chevy does well with that. One thing I failed to mention earlier, here in the bed is a cargo area, and this has been an aftermarket option from companies for quite a while, but it's nice to have this little stowage area, and it does have a weather seal all the way around it. I don't know how watertight that would be if you were to fill this with ice, if that would stay sealed. Probably would, but I'm not going to say one way or the other. But you just, to access it, you have these handles here, and just rotate those over. Make sure I get that down. So to open it, just push those over, and then it does have the lock and unlock symbols there. And then on the side, there's a little tab for the handle, and you can get in it and see that. So that is a useful area. Again, Chevy's starting to optimize on wasted space. They're not quite Honda, but they're improving. So you can see, as I mentioned before, pushing the bed sides out, filling in the empty space in the tailgate with an optional storage compartment, and it's, using all this extra space is very beneficial. I mean, for me, this might be a good place to store recovery equipment, or, you know, spare tire, maybe a small air compressor could fit in there, whatever it may be. Something that you need to get to, because if you put it in the bed or underneath the seats and you have gear in the seats or whatever, it might be harder to get to. But here you can almost always access this, which makes it a nice spot for that type of equipment. On the freeway, the Colorado Trail Boss is actually quite nice to drive, and this engine and transmission is tuned extremely well. The only kind of spot you have to get used to is, you know, down low, accelerating from a stop. It has a turbo. It doesn't feel that laggy, so it definitely has turbo lag by definition of the term, but it doesn't feel like it's underpowered. But when the turbo kicks in, you'll be going along okay, the turbo will kick in, it'll actually spin the wheels a little bit, especially if it's rainy out like it is now. But overall, it really just is tuned quite well. I enjoy driving it around, and on the freeway, it's not shifting, not searching for gears. It just goes along very nicely. I would say one of the best, if not the best, in the mid-sized truck market for that. It really does have good road dynamics for driving. It's obviously, the size is about right for easy maneuverability, getting around, whatever. It's easy to get in and out of parking stalls and whatever. It's not such a big wide vehicle that it's hard to move around. So on that front, it does really good too, and it's actually fairly quiet in here. So I have no issues with any of the on-road driving characteristics of this 2023 Colorado. Okay, we are in auto four-wheel drive, just in regular drive, normal drive mode, all that stuff. And you can do a 0 to 60 here. Not brake torquing, this is gonna be flat footing with the turbo. You wanna brake torque, build some RPM first, but we're just gonna flat foot it first. So 3, 2, 1, go. Okay. Thank you for watching Engine Adventures review of this 2023 Chevy Colorado Trail Boss. Really enjoyed this truck. It actually one of the top driving trucks. Like I said, the turbo lag gets in there a little bit, but as far as, you know, towing and driving around town and all that, this thing does really, really well. If you're interested in the off-road video, that'll be up soon if it's not already up. Be sure to check that out. It's a good one. And thanks again for watching. Be sure to hit subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post new videos. Give me a thumbs up and comment down below. If you didn't like it, give me a thumbs down and comment down below. Let me know what you want to see different, what tests you want to see me do, and Thanks again. Have a great day.